If you're looking for action, click off now. One candle, one trade, same time every day. I place my trade and then I close my laptop. And I've logged over 1,000 trades of this exact setup. And just to be clear, there's absolutely zero discretion or analysis in this system. So all of the variables in terms of the rules are 100% constant. So all you have to do is apply these rules to your trading with no analysis, no discretion, just show up and take the damn trade. But anyway, the system is going to apply it on Euro versus the Swiss franc, aka Euro Chef. And of course, as always, we're going to need to let the daily candle close at 5 p.m. EST. All right, so once the daily candle has closed, the next step is to measure the candle from high to low with these Fibonacci settings on screen. And with this system, we are trading a reversal. We are not trading with the direction of price. So these Fib settings here are for the case of buys, and these settings up here are for the case of sells. And for the case of buys, we're going to need a 0.9 for our entry, followed by a 1.4 for our stop loss. And for the case of sells, we're going to need the 0.1 for our entry and the negative 0.4 for our stop loss. And the idea here is that we're catching the quick reversal of price within the candlestick's range, and we're simply capitalizing at a 0.5 RR target. And I know this doesn't sound exciting for a lot of you guys, but again, that is why I preface this system is boring, but is absolutely going to compound your account like crazy. At 0.5 R, we have an extremely high win rate, which allows the account to compound much faster with less drawdown period and consistently winning, allowing the compound effect to really take place. And just like Warren Buffett says, to never lose money, this exact system is allowing us to do that, where we're catching consistent wins in the market, which allows our account to compound like wildfire. And at the end of this video, if you guys stick around, we're going to be doing a Monte Carlo simulation with the data of the system, just so you guys can see how crazy this can actually get. But just before we actually get into backtesting, the case of buys is going to look like this, with the entry at the 0.9, stop loss at the 1.4. And of course, like mentioned earlier, we're targeting 0.5 R, which is going to be right there. So again, the idea is that price will reverse, tapping us in and catching this quick move to this level here. And of course, for the case of sells, it's going to be the same thing, but inverse, with our entry at the 0.1, stop loss at the negative 0.4, followed by a 0.5 R target. And keep in mind, at the daily close, you're going to place positions on both sides of the candle. And oftentimes the candle will open up at the 0.1 range. That is totally fine. You're just going to take the trade as normal and let the result play out regardless, right? All we're doing is simply taking the trade and letting probability handle the rest. This system absolutely has an edge. All you have to do is apply and execute. And of course, from the time you actually get on the computer and place your trades, this will probably take you like 5 minutes tops. And now that we have an understanding of how this system actually works, as always, let's get into the back testing. So what we'll do, we'll go ahead and replay price. And now that we have our daily candle on screen, we're going to take our Fib tool and we'll measure it from high to low. We'll go ahead and scale down on the lower time frames just so we can actually see price hit the entry, hit our stop loss, or take profit. We'll go to the 30-minute in this case here. Make sure this Fib level is up to speed, and it looks like it is measuring this range here. So we're going to go ahead and measure from high to low, and we'll let the range close out in a second here. Perfect. And what I have set up on screen here with these two lines is going to be the previous day's close, followed by the current day open. And within this range here is going to be the following price action, which is going to dictate the outcome of your trade. And I do have this indicator pinned down in the comments below. As well, if you guys already haven't grabbed my free one candle playbook, it's filled with profitable one candle setups that only take around 5 to 10 minutes to trade a day. So if you guys already haven't grabbed that, link is in the description. But anyway, as you can see, this candle has now closed. So all we simply have to do is place our orders, which in this case will be buys down here and sells up in here. And at this point, you're absolutely done. Just walk away for the day. But for the sake of backtesting, we're going to go through the motion just so you guys can see how this system actually works. So we'll go ahead and play price out. Okay, looks like we have an entry for a buy. So we'll place our entry there with stop loss at the 1.4, followed by a 0.5 R take profit. There it is. Okay, and that is going to be a -1 for starters. That is totally expected. In fact, we're just going to keep testing, and as you guys are going to see throughout the session, we'll see what the sample size of data we have collected here. We'll observe the win percentage of the sample size of data we have here versus the actual data on the 1,000+ trades I have collected, just so you guys can see how variance plays out and what you can expect when you're actually trading live. So of course we have a -1 there, so we'll get rid of that on screen, and we'll come to our trade journal here, and we'll go ahead and denote a -1 RR. and we'll let this range finish out. Now that the range is closed, we're going to measure from high to low. And in this case here, as we can see, this next day's candle opened and tapped us in immediately. So that is going to be an entry. And of course you would have caught it beforehand because you're hopping on as the daily candle closes. So we'll put our stop loss there, followed by 0.5 R. And that is going to be a win, a quick, simple win. Love to see it. So now that the result for this trade is in, we'll go ahead and clear this off screen. We'll come back to our trade journal and document a plus 0.5 RR, and we'll let this range close out. As the result has already revealed itself to us, we don't really care what happens in this range. We don't care if it runs 10R or 20R, it doesn't really matter. We already made our profit off of the rules we made. So we'll go ahead and measure this next range. Okay, beautiful. We have a sell entry hitting the 0.1 level. So that's going to be a sell right there, followed by a stop loss at this negative 0.4, followed by a 0.5 R take profit. Okay, so the next day's range has opened. We still haven't hit our stop loss or take profit. So we're simply going to leave this position open. That is totally fine. We'll go ahead and shrink this a little bit here. And we'll measure out this next day's range from high to low. Okay, and as you guys can see, we have our buy position here. Stop loss at the 1.4. Make sure this is right on our fib level there, followed by a 0.5 R take profit. And simultaneously, as you guys can see, we did hit our take profit for this position here without hitting our stop loss. So that is going to be a win. So we'll get rid of this on screen and we'll head over to our trading journal and document a plus 5 RR. And as you guys can see, the two winners here made up for the one loss. And of course, we're going to be winning a lot of times, which again, is going to help our drawdown and help our account compound much faster. And now that we're in this trade here, we'll let price play out. And that is going to be a loss, which is no worries at all. Again, we're going to delete this on screen and document another -1 RR. And of course, we're going to need to let this range close out, followed by measuring the fib from high to low. As you can see, as the daily candle closed, price quickly tapped into this entry here. So that is going to be a buy position at the 0.9, followed by stop loss at the 1.4, followed by a 0.5 R take profit. That is going to be a winning trade. Price eventually did travel into our take profit, so we'll get rid of this on screen. Head over to our trade journal plus 0.5 RR, and we'll continue back testing. We'll let this range close out. Perfect. There we go. This will be the low right here at this candle. And as you can see, again, as soon as price opened, we got tapped into our entry for another buy at the 0.5 there. We'll make sure we're targeting 0.5 R. Okay, and as you guys can see, we did hit our take profit there while holding the stop loss down here. So that is going to be a winning trade. We'll let the range close out real quick. Get rid of this on screen. Document another plus 0.5 RR. And now that we have our next day's range, we'll measure from high to low, high being right there, followed by the low at this level right here. And now we want to either wait for the sell position or the buy position to get hit. And remember, you're already going to be placing your orders for the day, and have MT4 cancel the opposing order if one of the sides gets hit first. But of course, we'll see if we even get an entry for the day, and we do. That's perfect. So we'll go ahead and place the entry there, followed by stop loss at the negative 0.4, followed by a 0.5 R take profit. Okay, that is going to be a -1. So we'll go ahead and delete that, come back to our trade journal and document a -1 RR. And we'll let this range close out and we'll take the next positions. Okay, there we have an entry into our sell position at that first candle there. So go ahead and adjust this position as such. So we're managing 0.5 R. That is going to be a winning trade. We'll let the range close out. Get rid of this on screen and document another plus 0.5 RR. Now that we have the next range, we'll go ahead and adjust these settings here. Of course, we'll make sure the fib is at the previous day's low, which is going to be at this level here at this candle's low. And of course, the first candle within the new day's range is going to be this candle here. And we already get an entry into our buy position. So we'll place our entry there, followed by stop loss at the 1.4 and a 0.5 R take profit. Let's go ahead and make sure this is accurate right there. There we go. Okay, that hits our take profit there. Beautiful. Get rid of this on screen. Document a plus 0.5 RR. And we'll adjust our levels as such. Okay, as you guys can see, that was a pretty sharp entry into the sell there. That would have been stop loss at the negative 0.4. At 0.5 R take profit, which got hit instantly. So that is going to be a winner under our belt there. Plus 0.5 RR. And let's see how many trades we have so far. We have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. We have 10 trades in the books now. We'll go ahead and call it there. As you guys can see, we had 3 losers, so that's about a 70% win rate. And now that we've collected our sample size, which again is about a 70% win rate, I'm going to come to my data sheet here and show you guys the true win rate across the almost 1,200 trades I've collected. So as you guys can see, 1190 trades. And we'll go ahead and filter the total R to 0.75. And as you guys can see, you guys can confirm for yourself, but it's 766 trades out of 1190, which is about a 75.6% win rate. Now, when we're back testing and maybe when we pick a handful of trades, whether that's 5, 10, 20, whatever it is, there's going to be something called variance. And this is essentially the probability distribution of your system. And that is why throughout your trading, you might see consistent streaks of winners, consistent streaks of losers, and periods when the system is actually performing at the true win rate. So I do want to preface, this system has a 75, almost 76% win rate at 0.5 R. And within this sample size here, we performed at a 70% win rate. So slightly below the true win rate, which is totally expected. But over 1,000 plus trades, you will then get the true win rate, which will give you the information you need to actually figure out, is the system profitable or not? Now, it's also really important to consider with the system, with the high win rate, we are taking less periods of drawdown. As you can see, as far as consecutive losses, we didn't have any more than one consecutive loss. Every time we lost, we made it right back, as you guys can see here. So what we'll do now, just so you guys can visually see this, is come over to our Monte Carlo simulator. We'll simulate with a 100K account with 1% per trade, and we'll go ahead and adjust this 75.6% win rate. There's no break-even rule in this system. And we're taking about a trade every day, so let's just call it 25 trades. And we'll run the simulation for 1 year. Of course, we'll make this a 0.5 RR take profit. And we'll go ahead and simulate here. These are the results with 1% risk. For the most possible scenario, we had a 34% account gain, followed by the best case, which we had about a 100% account gain. But what we really want to look at here, in the most possible case, we only had a maximum drawdown of 4%. That is absolutely insane. We performed slightly below the true win rate. That's expected. We had a consistent winning streak of 15 and a max loss streak of 3. And of course, we made 40% just for showing up every day, clicking a few buttons. Heck, you can even program this shit in an EA if you really wanted to. In fact, that is what me and my team are working on. We're working on forming a master EA, which is a culmination of all the one candle systems, which will allow us to take thousands of trades every year so we can really boil down to the true win rate of system, smooth out our equity curve, and allow the account to compound effortlessly. But as you can see, really solid results for the most possible case. In fact, even with the worst case, we had a negative 8% drawdown. And my general rule of thumb, I am okay with seeing up to 20% drawdown. So now that we understand that there's a max drawdown of 8% in the worst case, we're gonna go ahead and double our risk. And I feel more than comfortable doing so considering the system does have a high win rate. So again, the drawdowns aren't going to be as intense and the account is going to continue to compound. So we'll go ahead and change this to 2% risk here and we'll simulate the returns. And as you guys can see here, even in the worst case, we only had a negative 15% drawdown, which is beautiful. We even made profit in the worst case, and that is a telling sign of a really strong, powerful system. Again, this isn't really exciting stuff here when it comes to executing, but as you guys can see, phenomenal results on the Monte Carlo simulations. And as you can see in the most possible scenario, we had about an $83,000 gain. In the best case scenario, we had an absolutely crazy run, making $300,000 for the year, averaging about an 80% win rate. And the reality of this is that maybe 1 year you might have a best performing year, which as you guys can see with this green line here, we made $300,000. And 1 year you might have a worst case performance and then the next year most possible. But over 5, 10, however many years you decide to trade a system, it'll most likely dilute down to the true win rate, where of course you're going to see your equity curve actually play out to the true performance of the system. And it's absolutely essential that you understand that your system is profitable over the long term and not just for a year, 2 years, whatever it is, right? And that is the power of trading without discretion or analysis. And that is why trading these purely mechanical one candle systems is super powerful when it comes to just showing up and executing, understanding you don't have to rely on discretion or your intuition for crying out loud. You're simply just executing based on math and data. Why would you want to have to show up and gamble on your thoughts or emotions every day? And let alone to make trading actually worthwhile, you have to be consistently profitable trading this way. But once you make a clear set of rules off of backtested data, your only job is to show up and execute. I'll say it over and over again. And tie that in with a compounding plan, dialing in your risk management and understanding your equity curve and your variance distribution of your system. You are on your road to creating wealth with trading. And we're not just talking about making a quick 10,000, making a quick 20,000. This is for the long term. This is to create generational wealth for you and your family, and not just to make a quick buck in there just off some feeling you had in your gut. But anyway, I hope you guys enjoyed this breakdown today. Again, if you already haven't grabbed my free one candle playbook down in the description, feel free to do so. It's absolutely free. If you guys have any questions, comment down below. I'll try my best to answer you. But anyway, I'll see you guys in the next video.